Hi, I'm Aisha 1Q, and Mata is my number one hospital. My encounter at Mata Hospital was actually so far my best, because you see, when you enter the doctor's room, the doctor is just ready to listen, the doctor is warm, the doctor is kind.
We have a wide range of inpatient and outpatient services, including accidents and emergencies, offering services for both children and adults.
And I would wish young people could come here too, so that they could feel how I felt. That's why I keep coming to Mata over and over and over. Their services, top notch.
Mata Misericordiae Hospital. You matter to us.
A very warm good morning to you, dear viewer, and welcome yet to another enlightening episode of Health Discourse, coming to you live from our headquarters in Karen, Nairobi. Of course, this is a discourse brought to you by Mata Misericordiae Hospital in partnership with Capuchin Television. I am your host, Sasha Elizabeth, and today we are diving into a topic that affects millions of lives across the globe, that is breast cancer. And as we approach our Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it is essential to understand the ins and outs of this condition that really continues to impact women and men alike. I know you are going to question men how, but it will cover this under some of the myths that we will be debunking. And joining me in this vital conversation is none rather than an expert, that is a breast surgeon from Mata Misericordiae Hospital, Dr. Aggrey Wafula. And of course, I will give him a few minutes to just let us know, fill us in on what he does. Good morning, Dr. Wafula, and thank you for making time to be with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
So what do you do as a breast surgeon, or are there any other duties that you play at Mata Hospital?
Yes, I'm a surgeon, so what I do is mostly I deal with diseases that require the knife to actually manage. And one of the things I actually mostly attend to is different breast pathologies, and one of them that we commonly see is actually breast cancer, and part of the treatment of breast cancer is also surgery. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yes.
Great, and we are glad to have you today. Of course, as usual, we value your feedback and your input, so feel free to weigh in on the conversation on 0717-424-866. And of course, you can also drop your queries about breast cancer, anything you've heard, whether it's a myth or not. We have a specialist here, and he's going to guide us through on what really holds water in the health realm. Of course, we bring you to enlighten you so that you can stay informed and stay healthy. Use the hashtag Health Discourse. And of course, I'm Captain Sasha, and off we start with the conversation. First things first, Dr. Wafula. Let's start by understanding what exactly is breast cancer and how does it develop?
Okay, so generally, cancer is whereby you have this uncontrolled multiplication of cells, whereby the cells multiply beyond what we call a basement membrane, and they breach. Basically, there's a way cells multiply, and there's a system that controls it, okay? Therefore, that cells will live to a certain amount of time, and when that time comes, there will be what we call programmed cell death, and therefore new cells will be able to come in. So when this process is hampered or affected in any way, whereby you have some cells living to immortality, these cells are not dying, and therefore these cells also multiplying to a sense that they're also invading other structures and the normal functioning of an organ. So this may happen also within the breast, whereby it starts off as a small lump or a growth of tissues, and then therefore you find that these cells are abnormal and they keep growing, and they start spreading to other distant organs or organs organs around. Therefore, the first place they may start spreading into is the lungs, and eventually the liver, and therefore by doing this, then they will cause the abnormal functioning of this organ, and therefore leading to death. Yes. So yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. A little bit of statistics so that we understand how important it is to create awareness on breast cancer. What is the global burden of breast cancer, and what do statistics reveal about its impact specifically in Kenya or the broader Africa?
Yeah, so the cancer burden is actually it's a significant disease burden, and it's really eating into a lot of resources when it comes to fighting this scourge. So I think so far, I think from the latest statistic, WHO, around 2.1 million cases of breast cancer are diagnosed annually. And therefore, and from that, from the 2.1, we are having around 10% death from that figure annually who die from breast cancer. In Kenya, I think the statistics are around between 6,000 to 7,000 of new cases that are diagnosed annually. And the problem with our setup is that we actually are diagnosing these conditions quite late. We're picking them up between stage 3 and 4 as compared to the Western world, whereby there's still a significant load there, but they're picking them up early, and therefore the outcomes there are good as compared to us who are picking it late. We're the volume is slightly lower as compared, though we're going to catch up soon, but we're having high fatalities because we're picking them up late.
So what do we make of these statistics as a country?
So it means one, we still are not there yet when it comes to screening. I think we are screening at a rate of around 12%, while the rest of the world has gone beyond the 50% mark. Yeah. So we are still poorly screening. And even when we screen, we are actually still picking up advanced cases that are difficult to treat, or the options are really limited when it comes to treating. So hopefully, though the Ministry of Health has been pushing on screening and picking up some of these conditions early, but the resources that are set are still insignificant when it comes to,
Great. And then speaking of the demographics, who is most vulnerable to this disease? Because there are conversations, probably one of it falling under the myths that breast cancer only affects women and, you know, the age brackets. Could you please share with us those who are most at risk?
Oh yeah, so commonly, of course, the most commonly affected population is actually women, because of course they have significant breast tissue, but also there's a good percentage of men, around 1%, who are also, the figures might even be higher, who are being affected by breast cancer. So screening is mostly, of course, it will be mostly targeting the vulnerable group, which is women of reproductive age. Okay, that is women between 18 years of age all the way up to 50s, 60s. Okay, though those are the most vulnerable groups, but again, it's also important if there's your risk profile in the family, whereby say someone had breast cancer, then now you can even widen it even much to a later years or much to earlier years.
All right. So in terms of in terms of gender, that means that men are also affected. Have you had such cases in your line of duty?
Yes. We've actually seen quite a few. And the problem is, but when you pick up breast cancer in men, they tend to be aggressive. You also tend to pick them up late. That's also unfortunate. And you also tend to have those, what you call the sporadic type. You find that these are different types of cancer, breast cancer, that either one, very aggressive, two, do not respond well to different modes of treatment. So yeah, so it is a challenge, and we get to see.
Great. And speaking of the risk factors, what exactly increases the likelihood of breast cancer in a person? Okay,
so yeah, it's a good question. There's actually managing breast cancer is all about risk profiling, okay? And even if you want, what determines what to do is basically, again, assessing the risk factors. So which are these risk factors? One of it is first what you call parity. the ability of someone to have children. Yeah. So you realize that women with a low parity, or what you call null parity, or women who have not had children, at a higher risk. Okay, and that's why you see in the West, breast cancer is quite significant. Yeah, because women in the West have more career-oriented, tend to have one child, if not two. Okay, so they tend to have a few number of children, then they tend to focus on career. So this has been shown to contribute as a risk factor towards breast cancer. The other thing is prolonged use of contraceptives, especially the estrogen, and that's also the explanation behind the few number of children. You know, when a lady is pregnant, there are other hormones that come into play, like progesterone, that have been shown to be protective. So you find that women who are not having children will opt to have some form of contraceptive use, most of them which are estrogen based, and therefore the prolonged exposure to estrogen increases your risk of developing breast cancer. The other thing is that women who are not active, you realize in this day and age there's a spike in incidence of breast cancer because we are hypodynamic. We don't move a lot. As much as we move from point A to B, either seated in a car or in a public transport, but we don't physically move. Our work is mostly seated like we are today. We spend most of our time sitting. We are less mobile, okay? So immobility has also contributed to these changes that lead to breast cancer. The other thing, also obesity is playing a big role. It has also been shown there's a link between obese women and increase in breast cancer. Again, also lifestyle and diet. So again, the Western diet that we are having has also been seen to contribute to breast cancer. We are taking a lot of preserved and conserved food, and like we're working away from the natural foods that we were used to back in the day. So again, this is a big contributor to breast cancer. Then the other things like exposure to radiation, not the normal x-rays we do, but sometimes x-ray, maybe if you're being treated for another type of cancer and you have to undergo radiation. So that can also contribute towards breast cancer. Yeah, so plus many more, but those just stand out when it comes to risk factors or factors.
Okay, now does genetics or family history influence the risk of breast cancer?
That is definitely plays a big role. And like I said, managing breast cancer is all about risk profiling. And if you have, let's say if you're a woman and you have a first degree relative, maybe your mom, your sister, or your daughter who had breast cancer, then your risk for breast cancer increases by almost 3 to 4-fold. Okay, therefore genetics plays a big role. Okay, including men. If you had a sister or even a brother who had breast cancer, again your risk profile goes way up, almost 50% chance that you will get breast cancer. So yeah, genetics plays a big role, and that one is it's proven. Yes.
But does that mean that if you've not had anyone in your lineage suffer from a breast cancer, does that mean that you're not susceptible to it?
The problem is genetics is very funny. It may skip a generation or two. Okay, maybe there was someone with breast cancer in your family 2 generations ago and you didn't know. Okay, so that is not a guarantee that just because it's not there. The risks are low if it's not there, of course. Yeah, but you should always know that there might be someone who had it and you didn't know. And the other thing is that it's not only breast cancer, there are other also conditions that are related, especially cervical cancer and uterine cancer, and also ovarian cancer. So if you have this in the family, you may not have someone who had breast cancer but had ovarian cancer. That also puts you at a significantly increased risk. It doesn't mean that 100% you will get it just means your risk profile is heightened. So that means you are the target for screening. Yes.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wafula. Now, allow me to take you a little bit back. You mentioned under the risk factor parity.
Yes.
And this brings to the fore some of the debates we've had online about the link between parity or childbearing with lactation and breast cancer. Could you please share more light on that? Is there any link?
Okay. People say lactation, but the idea is just pregnancy. Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of hormones in play when it comes to when you're pregnant and during your childbearing period. Okay. So you find that hormones like estrogens are suppressed and hormones like progesterone are more expressed, and they have a protective feature. Therefore, that's why we encourage women to have children. Because now during this while they become pregnant, or during their while they're bearing children, the exposure to estrogen is diminished, is actually reduced, and therefore chances of breast cancer actually reduced. But it doesn't mean that you may still have many children still have breast cancer, because again, like I said, there are various types of these cancers. There are the wild type, the sporadic ones, they're the ones that are related to genetics. One thing I have to say also about genetics is that there have been 2 genes that have been isolated. We call it BRCA1 and 2, and these genes are associated with breast cancer. If you remember a few years back, there's this celebrity, Angelina Jolie, who underwent prophylactic mastectomies, whereby she removed her breasts prophylactically, therefore knowing that in the future she might have breast cancer because she had both of these genes positive. And if you have these genes positive, especially 1 and 2, then there's almost more than 60% chance that you will get breast cancer in your lifetime. So women who have this, who test positive for this gene, we don't test everybody, but there's a group of people. Let's say, like I said, if you have more than 2 first-degree relatives who present with this breast cancer at a younger age, then we might encourage someone to do those genetic testings. And if we find that you have that BRCA1 and 2 gene, if we find they're positive, then we might now also advise you for such measures whereby we remove your breast prophylactically. Even having your ovaries also removed, because ovarian cancer is also linked with this genetic changes.
One of the problem that is dragging us in the fight against breast cancer, you say, is late diagnosis.
Yes.
So to boost this, there's need for people to be aware of the red flags, what we call the early warnings and signs of breast cancer.
Yes.
What should we do, or what should the viewer note out or look out for?
Okay, so if you have breasts, already that's a risk factor. So already you should be aware that you already at a risk of having breast cancer. It might be very 0.01, but it's there. Okay, so the first thing is that being self-aware and being intimate with your breast, understanding the architecture of your breast. Any small change you see in your breast, even if it's not related to cancer, it's good to either talk to someone who understands or just have it looked at. Any changes in pigmentation, color, any changes in how the nipple looks, whether it's retracted or changed or everted or or enlarged. Any lump whatsoever, whatever lump that you feel, okay, that was not there yesterday. That's why I'm saying being intimate with your breast, like every day. There's this talk that's saying you check once in 2 weeks. My personal view is that every day if you go and shower, just have a feel. Because if you know your breast every day, if there's a change that occurs tomorrow, you will pick it up because you've been checking every day. Rather than checking after 2 weeks, and maybe something started a week ago and you're only picking it after a while. So if you keep checking every day, and not because you're looking for something, you're just checking to just understand the architecture of how it feels. Then if a lump that appears, you'll be able to pick it up early. And when you pick up this lump, then it's good to see a healthcare professional, be it a nurse be it a doctor or any clinician who sees this on a daily basis, yeah? Because even them, the more you see them, the more you also become very good at picking them up. Okay, so that's one important thing, yourself, self-assessment. The other thing is that having annual screenings, especially for women in the childbearing age, okay? So going in, seeing a doctor who will do a physical exam. If they pick up a lump, they may ask you to do an ultrasound or a mammogram, depending, and then evaluate some of these lumps further. Yeah, and if they see it's a suspicious lump, then there's other tests we ask you to do, a core biopsy where we put a needle through the lump and we examine it under a microscope. Yeah.
So do these signs manifest at early stages? Because some of these get to know, to realize the lump by the time you get to the hospital, it is a third stage.
Okay. Unfortunately, and I think this is the sad part about breast cancer, is that most of the earliest signs of breast cancer are neither here nor there. It may not even be a lump that you feel per se. There's no pain. In fact, most of the time when women come complaining of a pain in the breast, it's actually mostly a benign. So where it's an indolent, it's something that it's not an issue, okay? Yeah, most of the time patients who present with breast cancer come in with a painless lump, okay? A painless lump that has been there for a while. So the unfortunate part, that's what I'm saying, is you have to be very intimate with your breast, that any small changes, you just go and have it looked at, okay? Because there's no that alarming sign that will tell you this is breast cancer. But when you see the alarming signs, it's mostly too late, yeah? Whereby you have this pigmentation, battered nipple, you're having these discharges from the breast, either bloody discharge or whatever kind of discharge that may be there, or a significant lump that is already distorting the architecture of the breast. So by the time you're seeing this, it's most of the time it's already advanced stages. Yeah.
So as we stand based on the available resources and facilities, are our facilities able to detect breast cancer with the frequent screening at very early stages?
Fortunately, we've come a long way compared, and I think that's why we are hearing more cases of breast cancer nowadays. It's just because we've become more vigilant. So it's not that the cases, I don't feel like the cases are increasing. They've just been there. We're now just picking them up better now. Yeah. So yeah, we've actually made a lot of strides when it comes to screening, even the knowledge. We've made astronomical strides in understanding breast cancer. So yeah, we're at a good position to pick them up early and do something about them.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And my director says it's a time to take a breather. But when we return, we'll walk through the screening protocols. Of course, some of the myths, the treatment modalities available, and of course. More that is we have for you under this conversation that is health discourse. So stay tuned.
My name is Jemima Kaigongi. I'm expecting my first baby. The Mata Hospital is my hospital. It's where I normally attend my clinics. They have very nice, good services, and they look deep in your well-being.
At Mata Hospital, we have a wide range of inpatient and outpatient services, including accidents and emergencies, offering services for both children and adults.
The journey with the gynecologist has been very good. And with Mata Hospital, there is nothing to be afraid of, especially when you are expectant.
Visit our website or any of our medical centers across the country. Mata Misericordiae Hospital. You matter to us.
All right, welcome back and thank you very much for staying put. We are continuing our deep dive into breast cancer awareness with Dr. Aggrey Wafula from Mater Misericordiae Hospital. And before the break, we touched on the basics of breast cancer. But now, let's, just before we get to the more information on how to go about the treatment and all that. Welcome back to the second session, Dr. Wafula.
Thank you, thank you.
We'll create time for some of the questions to respond to them, but for now, let me take you back to screening. When should one start and what are the protocols for early detection?
Okay, any woman in her reproductive phase is actually a good candidate for screening for breast cancer. Then there are also other things that are important, like family history of either breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or uterine cancers in the family. So again, that also, if this happens to your family, you are actually a candidate for regular screening for breast cancer. Yes. So what entails screening? So screening, mostly when you screening patients, it's a three-pronged approach. Yeah? So the first thing is that if a patient comes to me for breast screening, is that we get a history. You talk to remember I said breast cancer is about risk profiling. So by first asking some questions, you're able to put her at a level of risk where they are. So for example, I'll ask her how many children has she had. Maybe this is a lady who comes in her 50s and she's not had a single child during her reproductive years, so that already elevates her risk. Then I will ask questions like prolonged exposure to contraceptives. So then she says, maybe I've been using these pills for the last 20 years. So again, you see that raises her risk profile. So then you ask questions like maybe other medications. There are medications that are known that may contribute to different types of cancer, or any therapies that received in her lifetime, or other underlying conditions. Then, of course, you do a physical exam, examine her BMI, okay? Yeah. Then, of course, also examining now physical exam of the breast, trying to see any physical changes you can see in the breast. We also normally examine the armpits, because there are those, normally breast cancer will spread to the lymph nodes in the armpits, okay? So it's always good to check under the armpits and feel if there are any palpable nodes, okay? So if from the questioning and the physical examination, if you pick out a lump, okay? So for example, I pick up a lump in this lady who is 50 years of age. She's not had any children, and she's had a positive history of breast cancer in the family. So for me, this lady is a high-risk patient, okay? Therefore, the lump that I find there, I will handle it as suspicious. So that means that now we have to evaluate that lump further. Therefore, we now send her for what we call a core biopsy, whereby we take a needle and we aim it through that lump and pick a representation of the lump, a few cells. And therefore, we hand it over to the pathologist, who will look at it under a microscope. And if we find some changes in the cell that have undergone transformation, then he tells me, yeah, this is a suspicious lump, and most likely this is malignancy, and therefore we may have to evaluate further. So supposing this suspicious lump turns out to be what we suspect as a cancer, therefore what we may need to do is we do further workups, whereby now we have to image the patient, whereby you take a scan of the chest, you take a scan of the abdomen, so you're trying to see the spread, okay? And you may have to evaluate the armpits further with ultrasound to see how much the spread, it has spread from the breast to the other areas. If we find that the cancer is only limited to the breast, then there are modalities which we'll talk about later. If we find it has spread to the lungs and the liver, then now we consider this as stage 4 disease, and therefore we may now start by maybe offering things like chemo, or what we call palliative treatment, whereby we just want to prolong life, but not really cure. Yeah.
I think thank you very much for shedding light on how breast cancer is diagnosed, and some of these are some of the tests or procedures that a patient goes through to rule out the condition. Is there anything else, any other procedure that somebody might be subjected to besides this?
Yeah, so after we take the core biopsy, after we confirm it's cancer, that is a needle representation. So it may depend now. Supposing the cancer is just limited to the breast, yeah? Therefore, we can offer what you call either breast conservation, where we remove part of the breast and leave most of the breast behind, or remove the whole breast based on different principles, depending the reason how we can arrive at the decision whether we remove part of the breast or the whole breast is because one, you have to look at the tumor biology, the size of the tumor. There sometimes you get multicentric tumors where you have a lump on this quadrant and a lump on this quadrant and another. So therefore you cannot spare the whole breast. The size of the breast may be really small in relation to the tumor, so you may not be able to conserve. Plus other factors, maybe the patient will not be able to, because after you remove, you have to send them for radiotherapy. But for one reason or the other, maybe you may not be able to radiate this patient. Then therefore you may not be able to offer breast conserving. So once you remove either part or the whole breast, then you still send it back to the pathologist, okay? Whereby he confirms now the diagnosis. Yeah, because we had taken a sample, remember, we're using a needle, but that was just a representation. But when you take now the whole of it, the whole tumor, now we can even further evaluate the tumor and even now organize for what you call post-op chemotherapy, or even decide whether we are going to even offer radiotherapy, yeah, based on the findings of this tissue that we've given now back again to the pathologist.
Thank you very much. And of course, what are the treatment modalities available for breast cancer patients today?
So the treatment modalities are one, surgery, which is the best. It offers cure, but you can't give it to everybody. You only give to those who have resectable, because the principle about treating cancer is removing all the affected tissue, okay? If you leave any tissue behind, just know it will recur, okay? So you only offer surgery if you're sure or you're almost certain that you'll remove nearly 90 to 100% of the tumor. And the reason why we normally give now the second modality, chemotherapy, is either to mop up the tumor that is left, or surgery cannot be offered. You want to reduce the disease burden, okay? So one of the modalities is surgery. The second modality we offer is chemotherapy. So these are just cytotoxic agents. They are just drugs that are toxic that go and kill the tumor cell. Unfortunately, they also kill the healthy cells, and that's why you see people having those reactions while on chemo. The other modality is radiotherapy, whereby we radiate the area of the cancer. We hit them with radio waves, okay? So these radio waves destroy the nucleus of the cells. So they normally destroy those cancerous cells, okay? Then the other bioagents that we use, these are different, again, modalities that we use that target different cancer cells and try and kill them, okay? Yes, yeah. So we can say three modalities, that is radio, chemo, or different medication, and surgery. Yeah, so,
now, great. In terms of effectiveness, and of course considering the recurrence rates, what would you say, because most cancer patients have had a relapse or recurrence of the situation. So which one do you deem the most effective?
Surgery is always the best, but again, it's not for everybody. It's for those candidates who patients who pick them early. So those are patients who present with a very small lump. It's just that the cancer just started there. It has not spread to anywhere else. So if we can come and cut it all out, then you can offer this patient cure. But like I said, most of the patients who present to us present with already advanced disease, okay, stage 3 and 4, whereby the disease has spread beyond its margins, okay? So even if you remove that tumor, there's already microscopic cells that have spread all over the body, okay, that you may not be able to take care with surgery, you may not be able to remove, okay? So Recurrence is actually based on, again, where you find your patient in your initial diagnosis. If a patient comes in stage 1 disease, then the chances of offering this patient cure are way up there, okay? But if a patient comes with advanced disease, then chances of recurrence are either chances of you not being able to do much, or chances of recurrence even after you've offered whatever you can give. Yeah, so recurrence is just based on when the patient, at what stage the patient presents. So it's not about the treatment that we give, it's more of at what stage has the patient presented. Yeah. So if they present at an advanced disease, then high chances of recurrence is high despite what you do, okay? Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Dr. Wafula. Slightly on mammograms. How effective are they in detecting breast cancer?
Okay. So we either offer ultrasound or mammogram when you're evaluating the breast tissue, okay? So we offer mammogram to patients with less dense breast tissue. That is either elderly patients, or I don't want to say elderly, but patients beyond 50, 45 years and beyond, or patients who might be younger but have less dense breast tissue. But younger patients with more dense breasts, we prefer to use ultrasound, okay? So yes, mammogram has actually been shown to as a very good screening modality, especially in the West. I think this is documented. They say that for every 10,000 patients you screen for breast cancer with mammogram, you're able to save at least 4 lives. I think you're able to reduce the chance of 4 people dying from breast cancer. So yeah, so mammogram is actually a good modality, but again, it has its indication. Not just everybody you'll offer them mammogram. And again, also, it depends. Sometimes you'll offer a patient an ultrasound and still follow up with a mammogram based on the lesions, the nature of the lesions that are there, and how further you want to evaluate some of these lesions. Yes, yes.
Great. We spoke about how fertility or parity may reduce the likelihood of contracting breast cancer. How does now breast cancer itself impact reproductive health and fertility among women?
Okay, yeah, yeah, it has a big impact because there are types of cancers that we found that we even pick them up in pregnancy, actually breast cancers. You find that for some reason, it was a patient presented with the breast cancer maybe before even the pregnancy, but it was quiescent, it was just quiet. But once they become pregnant because of the spike in hormones, and these tumors now start growing at a really rapid rate. Yeah. So and in some patients, their pregnancy have had to be terminated. In some patients, because of being diagnosed with breast cancer in the early trimester, and that was found to be very aggressive. And in some cases also even the nature of the pregnancy was actually affected because maybe now the patient had to be exposed to some form of chemo or medication, you understand, in the late trimester. Yeah, so there's definitely an impact of breast cancer with a pregnancy. Now, fertility, being fertile in itself is not a protector, rather than being pregnant is what protects. Okay, so you can be pregnant, you can be fertile but not pregnant. But if you're fertile and pregnant, then that has been shown, and the more pregnant you are, the more children you have, it has been shown to protect and reduce the chances of having pregnant.
Great. So at this point, allow us to take a few questions from those who are watching. We have Sir Henry Ayora, who says he's watching from Bogota. Thank you, Sir Henry. Then Makio Wakiso says the show is good. Okay, thank you for watching, Makio. If you have any question, feel free to share with us. And then this is Sophia from Lolongo. She's asking, what is Mater Hospital doing to continue creating awareness on breast cancer?
Like today, that's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have a breast cancer month, awareness month that is coming. We normally do annually. We actually do 2 camps on breast annually. Yeah, and there's one coming next month. We'll be doing a free breast camp for screening. We screen, and during these camps, I've actually picked up several breast cancers that we offered treatment. So yeah, so we're actually playing our part. Yeah.
Great. On that, what support systems and resources are available for breast cancer patients and their families, especially during treatment and the recovery process?
Okay, so fortunately at MATA, we have put up various programs to help not only breast cancer, but patients with cancer and terminal illnesses. We have pastoral activities, that is faith, that they offer to patients. We have a very strong counseling and psychiatric department that actually works with the patients, okay? Plus, we have an oncology unit currently that offers support groups for patients, not only breast cancer, but just cancer in general, that help follow up some of these patients and give them psychosocial support as they navigate through this condition.
Great. And I can see Bernard from Emali needs to know more about the cancer awareness camps. Is it always as big? Because one of the iconic programs that define MATA Hospital is the MATA Heart Run.
Yes, yes.
Do you organize this cancer awareness the same way you do, and how do people benefit from them?
Of course, our MATA Heart Run has been there for a while. It's one of the earliest pet project for the hospital and the Sisters of Mercy. But you know, the cancer awareness is I think the last decade is whereby a lot of attention we've been placing
drawn to it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So I think we're not there yet. Of course, even as a country, we're still very behind in our screening protocols and our national screening guidelines. We're still very behind. But I believe most of the the private facilities have actually been doing a lot towards screening and creating awareness when it comes to breast cancer. Yeah, and also, of course, NGOs and the World Health Organization. So, yeah, we're not there yet, but we are working towards.
Great. And recently, there was a cancer survivor. I think she had all her breasts removed. It's a video that went viral, and she was trying to do awareness and, of course, encouraging others to do early screening. So she was in the market and she hopped on one of the cargo trucks, and she just had to, you know, show her chest. You know, this is where it got me. So you should be able to seek, you know, do this frequent screening to avoid getting where I am right now, or even worse, you know, getting lethal. Do you think there is something lacking in us in as far as this is concerned, as individuals, as families?
Yeah, I think there's still stigma related to cancer. There's this scare, and I see it a lot, especially the irony is among professional women. You find that a lady comes in, she's had a lump for a year and not had it evaluated in any sense. So when you ask her, you have good insurance, you have access to healthcare, you are educated. How comes one whole year you've not had this lump evaluated? And they tell you, I was afraid it might be. You see, so that fear, that stigma kind of also leads, has this psychological barrier that stops them from seeking help early. Okay, so we see this commonly. The other thing is that even after removal of breasts because of this condition, because sometimes that's what will offer cure, okay, whereby we have to remove the whole breast, okay. It's not the end of the road, because nowadays we do a lot of good reconstruction, okay. We're able to reconstruct the breasts almost as they were before, okay. Yeah, so and there are also implants that can be fitted in, or tissue reconstruction, whereby we take abdominal muscles and reconstruct into breast tissue. So it's not the end of the road, even if you're going to lose your breast because of that. People live a very productive life after, disease-free. And we've had survivors who have been following, I've seen in the hospital 20 years later, they're still disease-free and they're happy.
Great. Thank you. Now, at this point, I would like us to chart the path through some of the myths. There are quite a number of them, just like with any other disease, any other outbreak of an infection. There's always also what we call an infodemic. So there are several myths surrounding breast cancer. One of them, of course, some of them you've already spoke about it, that only women can get breast cancer. You already clarified that. That a lump in the breast always means cancer.
No. Actually, 95% of lumps you pick in the breast are not cancerous, okay? It's a very small percentage that turn out to be cancerous. But the problem is the small percentage, the impact it has on lives is why everybody's afraid of a lump. But majority of breast lumps are not cancer. Majority of abnormal discharge from the breast, even bloody discharge, is not a sign of cancer, okay? So that's why I say whatever happens to your breast, just get evaluated and don't fear. Yeah, don't fear, because that fear sometimes is what acts as a barrier. Yeah.
And then wearing underwire bras or using antiperspirants causes breast cancer?
Not really. There's no evidence showing this. I think it's just more of the lifestyle we live. There was some time, there was this equating to putting on bras an increase in breast cancer, but this has been debunked. There's no direct evidence showing this. It's more of just because we're just living more of a Western life. So diet, lifestyle, hypodynamism, these are the things, other things that are contributing. But there's no direct link between putting on bras and breast cancer.
And that mammograms can cause breast cancer due to radiation exposure?
No, the amount of radiation exposure from them is very limited. Even the X-rays that we do, no, those are very low doses. So we shouldn't be worried of that. The other significant causes, alcohol, there has been shown to contribute to breast cancer. Cigarette smoking also has a link with breast cancer.
So as we finalize, because our time is almost running out, could you just tell our viewer on what kind of lifestyles to adopt or what to do in order to keep breast cancer at bay? Okay,
so it's good to embrace screening. Embrace screening, both personal screening and of course screening by the national screening guidelines. So first of all, self-examination and self-awareness, very important. Very important. The other thing, regular checkups, health checkups in general, not only just because of breast cancer, but health checkups in general. It's good to prevent than try and treat. And I think our society, we have this, we are very reactionary. We like treating, we don't like preventing. So even how I see sometimes the Ministry of Health allocates resources. They allocate resources towards fighting a condition rather than prevention. And it's cheaper to prevent than treat. Okay, so so health awareness, of course, educating our sisters, our mothers, our brothers, okay, like what we're doing today. Positive lifestyle, dynamic, gym, running, walking, swimming. I think we need to go back to that lifestyle of being physically active. Then encouraging people to cut down weight. I'm those people who advocate for fat shaming. In that, you get people off their behind and try to be more physical, more active. Yes.
Great, thank you very much. Of course, some of the proactive steps that you can take to reduce your risk of developing breast cancer, this should be adopted by all, and especially the at-risk groups that we have discussed. So as we close, Dr. Wafula Agro, what do you have to tell our viewer before we wrap up the discourse?
We're having a Breast Cancer Awareness Month next month. We're going to have a camp, a breast camp. And I think the prostate camp will be following the next month. So we encourage you, visit MATA when you see these adverts coming out. Come in, get screened, and yeah. And we also have what we call health checkups. We have different packages that suits different people. It's good even if you are not, even if you're not sick, just come in, have a physical at least once a year. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you very much, Dr. Agri Wafula.
Yes.
And of course, we really appreciate the team at MATA Hospital for organizing this. Eric Mutei in absentia, and you're here also with Joyce Karimi.
Yes.
She also part of marketing
Yes.
in MATA Hospital.
Yes.
So we really appreciate your time. Remember, we bring you this conversation every month. That is Capuchin TV partnering with the MATA Misericordiae Hospital, just enlightening you on the different health conditions, health disorders, to equip you with information. They say your health is the greatest wealth that you can garner. And of course, a wealth of knowledge goes a long way to ensuring that you are healthy or you keep healthy. That's all that all the time we have for today, the information that we have to share. We hope that this conversation has helped you shed more light on breast cancer and the importance of early detection and the available treatment modalities. So we keep on looking out and of course sharing what we know. A big thank you to the team for sharing this invaluable opportunity for us to be able to discuss more about health conditions. So at this point, I'd like to extend my gratitude to the team that has been working behind the scenes. We have Charles Maverton, who has been working on the cameras, of course, with Rose Willie. There's Austin Lee here, and on the other side of the chamber, we have this is Fred Ochieng and Peter Mwangi and Marcelina Daly. So thank you very much for your contribution. We keep it Capuchin TV for more conversations, for more discussions. I'm your host, Captain Asosha, and this has been Health Discourse on Capuchin TV. So stay healthy, stay informed, and have a good day. Goodbye.
My names are Edwin Mugai Wamae. I'm constant attender of MATA Misericordia for the last 30 years or so. Reasons being costs, vis-a-vis the services and the personnel. I find it very competitive, and also the doctors who attend to me are knowledgeable in so many problems that I suffer from.
We have a wide range of inpatient and outpatient services, including accidents and emergencies, offering services for both children and adults.
Very beautiful amber parking. I do not think we have many hospitals to compare with their services in this country. MATA is the best place to go.
MATA Misericordiae Hospital. You matter to us.
St. Joseph's Missionary Society, Mill Hill, better known as the Mill Hill Missionaries, was founded in 1866 by Cardinal Herbert Vaughan in Mill Hill, London.
We, the Mill Hill Missionaries, are a group of Catholic missionaries dedicated to spreading and announcing the good news of Jesus Christ all over the world. We were founded in 1886, the 19th of March, the solemnity of St. Joseph, the husband of Mary, thus taking St. Joseph as our patron saint.
With a charism rooted in the readiness to be sent anywhere in response to Christ's call, serving the marginalized and underserved, the Mill Hill Missionaries continue to answer to this mission with faith and devotion.
The motto, to love and to serve, in Latin, amare et servire, with a charism generally to respond to the missionary mandate of Christ in Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 to 20, with a focus of going to where the need is greatest and an emphasis on primary evangelization.
Brothers and sisters, select from among you 7 men of good reputation, full of the Spirit and wisdom, whom we can appoint to this duty. Acts of the Apostles, chapter 6, verse 3. The Mill Hill missionaries are pleased to invite you to the diaconate ordination of 7 of their members. These are
Julius Okecha Gunda from Ukwala Parish, Kisumu Archdiocese. Emmanuel Odongo from Uganda, specifically from Toroti Catholic Diocese, St. Patrick's Parish, Madera.
Banginu Brian Dong from Cameroon, from the Archdiocese of Bamenda, precisely from St. Jude's Parish, Fundong.
I am called Kijika Parfait Maishu, from the Diocese of Kumbu, Christ the King Parish, Jakiri.
I am Jeremy Efumo Lianja from Congo DRC, from the Diocese of Basankus, precisely from Bukakata Parish.
Kwa majina naitwa Michael Johannes Ouma Owor kutoka Jimbo Katoliki la Homa Bay, parokia ya Asumbi.
This year, 2024, I'm pleased to be among the 7 brothers from Mirhir Formation Center here in Nairobi, who are going to take their perpetual oath and then after their diaconate ordination.
Join us for this joyous celebration on Saturday, the 28th of September 2024 at the Mary Mother of God Catholic Church in Bulbul in the Diocese of Ngong. The Holy Mass will start at 10 a.m., presided over by the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Ngong, the Right Reverend John Obala Owa.
We, the 7 of us, are ready and have come to take up this task of diaconate. So help us God.
Kwa niaba ya wanafunzi wa Mill Hill Missionaries, wateule ambao watapokea daraja ya ushemasi, ningependa kuchukua nafasi hii kuwakaribisha katika sherehe yetu.
Please come and witness our ordination as we thank God for the graces He has bestowed on us.
Capuchin TV will honor the invitation of the Mill Hill missionaries and broadcast this sacred event live on television and across its social media timelines.
Mwendelee kutuombea ili tunapochukua safari hii mpya ya maisha tuweze kutusaidia kumtumikia Mungu na kutumikia wenzetu.
We the Capuchin family congratulate you, deacons to be Julius, Brian, Emmanuel, Jeremy, Wilson, Michael and Parfait. May God bless and walk with you as you prepare to take this significant step in your journey of service to love and to serve. Amare et servire.
So welcome
all. Warwako uduto.
Ben wiki juu.
Mwebare kuisha.
Keep watching Capuchin TV, your Catholic identity.